listening to the Mantic Universe podcast. I'm Chris, and today I'm joined by Wiki Dave.
G'day, hello.
Dave, was that creepy
g'day,
enough?
I'm not Australian. I don't know. No, I know.
You're getting this all wrong.
I say g'day when I shouldn't say g'day. I insult every New Zealander by saying g'day every time I do that. So I should stop it.
This has come into question now, your whole identity now. This has got red flags.
Call me Australian, mate. You're about to open a...
Hey, there were two people on the trains very conspicuously speaking English a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Are you from New Zealand?" And they were. I got it right. Perfect. It's like, nice. You know, when you guess people are from Canada and you don't assume they're from America and they're really happy. It was that kind of situation. Yeah. Anyway, this is not the topic for today, dear listener. And we're very lucky, and his time is precious, to be joined by Dan from Mantic. Hey, Dan, how are you, sir?
Hi there. Good morning, guys. Yeah, nice to be on the pod.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you on, buddy. So Halo is coming out in a few days, literally 2 days is the official release date. People who had already pre-ordered, have their copies. I have my huge copy. And with Dan, we just wanted to get you on to whip up a bit of excitement for Halo, maybe talk about some new Mantic releases, and just have a nice little short but sweet episode.
Let's do it.
Although,
and to be clear, we're recording this on the 28th, so it's released on the 30th. So by the time you're probably hearing this, it'll probably be out, right? That's right to say, Chris.
Well, you know, I'll look to get it out before Saturday, before release day.
Oh, okay.
But you know,
there we go. We'll see.
Don't want to promise too much, but there we go. Anyway, super. So Dan, so this is super exciting. So Halo, it's based on the Dead Zone rule set, with some changes. Yes. So, for example, Exploding 8s are now called Headshot, if I'm correct.
Yes, it's a little bit of kind of video gamey language. It's it very much takes Dead Zone as the foundation, and then there's some things that have been changed. There's a few things that have been added. There's a few been taken away. It's Ian has done a fantastic job, and with the playtesters, of tweaking and adjusting and kind of morphing it from what it was before into something that feels very, very Halo. And that's the feedback we keep getting, which is lovely.
And Dan, how long has this been? Because I remember coming to Clash of Kings last year and noticing people had Halo screensavers. And then that was my first clue. And then I went, oh, look, there's a little Master Chief, or there's a little Spartan model. Oh, and I managed to not mention it on the pod, which I thought was amazing. Then I mentioned it to Ronnie, and he was like, I don't care. You could have talked about it. So how long, roughly, has this been in the works then? Has this been a couple of years of work for somebody, for the project team?
Oh, even longer. I know Ronnie wanted this from about 8 years ago, and I think we've been talking to Microsoft since almost that long. I think the earliest pitch going back in the files from what I've seen was about 7 years ago, and I think it was just lots and lots of back and forward. But in that time, we've had the chance to do The Walking Dead and Hellboy and big licenses, and each of those things shows we can take a big IP and we can do justice to it, and that gives the guys more and more confidence that there could be something in this. They'll do a good job of it. And then we got to the point where yes, you can go and develop the game, and it's going to be based on this. And it just kind of went from there. But it has been in the works a long time. So I joined Mantic, I had my interview to join Mantic towards the end of 2022. And when I found out that I was getting the job, it was one of the things I found out. And I've then had to just sit on that information for quite a while. So it's been in very sort of heavy development in that time. But it's the beginnings of it stretch way further back.
And I suppose, of course, the other blocker was a company called Spartan Games had 2 Halo games out. And I think subsequently they went under, I think.
That was quite sad, because it's it's another independent games company making cool stuff, and we never like to see obviously some of them are our competitors, but we never like to see cool independent companies go under. But they had Ground Command and Fleet Battles, so it was quite. That's the other thing, is what they were doing is quite different to the direction we've taken it in.
Yeah, that was going to be my exact next point, because the Spartans. So I've just painted up So Mantic asked a little while ago the Pathfinders, hey guys, does anyone want a demo set, or would you like to ask for a demo set?
Hey, this is Ash Walker
and Zakama13,
and you're listening to the Mantic Universe podcast.
So much universe, so little time.
The Mantic Universe podcast. So much universe, so little time.
and there was a bit more red tape than usual about getting these things. I thought, oh, this is frustrating. Why is this? And then the demo set arrived, and it was this beautiful, super professional box. I was really taken aback. I was expecting
you sound so surprised, Chris.
Yeah, I was expecting one of those white boxes, the Mantic Direct kind of, with some stuff chucked in. But it's a great little box. So it comes with 8 models as the demo set. Obviously, it's nowhere near the the awesomeness that is the paid edition, which I also have, which arrived I think 2 days later. But I've got the demo set painted up. So yes, Saturday I'll be at Quest Hub, dear listener. If you're listening to this and you can get yourself to Frankfurt before in 2 days, you can come and have a test game. And I've already read the rules once, and I plan to read them again. So I'm incredibly professional. Fantastic, Dave. You're a big fan of Halo, I would say.
Yes, I've got a helmet.
You've got exactly.
Oh, you have, yes.
I used to have one of these helmets and chucked it out when I left London, which was such a what a disaster! What a terrible decision that was. I chucked it in a skip. Yes. So, Dave, how excited? So, your big box of awesomeness has already arrived. How excited are you to play Halo?
So I'm a huge fan of Halo. So all my Halo games, I don't know. I'm pointing behind me for the
yeah, this is great.
I've got my original Halo. Yes. I've got my original Halo right here. So I'm a big fan of Halo. So I was really excited to get my hands on it. Now, unfortunately, because of my health, I can't leave or go traveling to actually play it with anyone yet. So I haven't been able to play it, and I only received the big box about 2 days ago. And I've been thoroughly impressed. Everyone knows me as Wiki Dave because I love lore. The first wiki I ever made was a Halo wiki. It wasn't an online one. I wrote it when I was, my dad worked for IBM. We traveled around the world, and I was by myself a lot. So I had the Fall of Reach, and I had been writing all the Spartans' numbers, and that's why Fred's my favorite, 104. And so I'm really excited for this. And I opened it, and one question I have is the lore is good. Like, even though the rulebook is just the rulebook, the lore inside the rulebook is quite fascinating. The fact that it points out events that aren't always covered. So my question, I guess, is how important was the lore when building the game? Was there any kind of issues that you came across that you had trouble kind of fleshing out, or was it pretty straightforward? Any question was always answered, and you always, you had everything you needed.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one because that ties into one of the questions that we've had is why have we based on the multiplayer almost rather than the campaign, which is obviously
I mean, you could do it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So this is quite an interesting one. So when we speak to, we've got a bunch of Halo players on the staff, and that means all kinds of different things because for some people that's Halo Combat Evolved, some people that's Halo 3, for some people that's Halo Infinite. It's most people have dabbled into it at some stage, so everyone was very familiar with the series. But yeah, like Dave alludes to, there's a whole another level to it because there's a whole series of books. There's a whole bunch of content out there filling in the gaps and telling other bits of the story. We're lucky that Dave in the studio is all over that all the time because even before he knew we were getting this project. We also have a kind of a Halo Dave here in the office. But then we also
Dave's just into Halo. Everyone knows that.
Exactly. But we also had access, obviously, to all the Microsoft guys. So if there was anything we needed to check, we can go to them and they go, you've put this safety catch is in the wrong place or whatever, or down to just kind of tiny silly stuff. In terms of the story, we needed to know when in the timeline it was going to be set, and the briefing on that was go for where we currently are. So we're set in 2560, which is kind of pretty up to date with what's going on in Infinite. And that means that kind of we're looking at the Banished obviously in existence, which is the reason why they're going to be the big opposing faction that makes a kind of a stamp on the game next. They're in there a little bit already because we got some Sangheili mercenaries in the Spartan edition, or the elites as everybody kind of commonly calls them. But we will be seeing a lot more of them in future. Story-wise, it's not a kind of a story-heavy game. It's the setting is important more than the story that we're telling. So we're not telling a new story in Halo Flashpoint, but the setting is where you're kind of acting everything out. So the stuff that is going on in the universe right now is the backdrop for the game.
So if we can vary to just so the dear listener understands, maybe if we can just make it very, very simple, I think of Halo, and this is an oversimplification, but I think of Halo as being split in the video games as being split in two. One is the multiplayer mode, which is kind of what this game is. And then the other is the campaign mode with a story, and you're on the Halo running around, and there's lots of Marines and Pelicans and Scorpion tanks and Covenant trying to get you and Banished and whatever. This is very much the kind of online mode, multiplayer training mode, and that's am I thinking is that fair for me to think of that as like this is kind of like training for the Spartans?
Yeah, I would say so. We're setting the map that's in the box is based on Live Fire, which in turn is based on the Spartan Training Academy that you see in the games. So it's very much at the moment, from the starter box, it's kind of like your Spartans are in training. When the Banished arrive, training is over. New things will start to happen. We'll start dropping in new scenarios which may not have things like respawns, for example. Suddenly it all jumps up a level. It gets a bit more serious. You still have all those other modes to play, but we will start putting new, cool, different things into the mix at that point. So it will kind of continue to evolve as a game and as a setting, and there will be narrative elements, tied into some of those releases as well. But we're not pretending it's a dungeon crawler or an RPG or a kind of a very story-heavy game type. When we talk to people about Halo memories, social Halo memories with their friends, people usually talk about red versus blue. They talk about blowing each other up in the pit, or long distance Spartan lasers on sand trap, or you're just pulling off crazy sniper shots, dropping shields.
For me, it's headshots in SWAT. Yes, in SWAT mode. If you remember that, it was just pistols and rifles and running around, and headshots were always fatal. That was fantastic.
Blood Gulch all the way. Just to quickly touch on the lore thing. This is how I think it's set up for success going forward. Is even the models. So Master Chief, canon-wise, is a lot taller than the Spartan 4s because Master Chief was kind of bred for that. So if you actually put the models side by side, I'm showing this on camera. You won't. the terrible.
This is great for a podcast. Thanks, Dylan.
Yeah, no, but if you set them side by side, Master Chief is visibly taller than all the others. And that's a really nice touch. You don't realize it, and it's those little things. That means you're set up going forward. It means when you introduce new things, you've really set up a good kind of foundation on when it comes to lore. And that's just one example of like how delicate they have been with the actual look and feel of the actual models themselves.
David, are you trying to suggest they've thought this through?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have easily just licensed it and just put out whatever. You could have not really put two strains of thought to it. I mean, you could have just gone from like take the DSO model and just say, all right, we're just going to reenact the Halo 1 campaign, and then just kind of use that template or something like that. You could have easily done that, but you didn't. Instead, you took something that on the surface would seem a bit odd. The multiplayer with Infinite at the time wasn't that great. It didn't land very well when it first came out. It has recovered since then. It's actually in a bit of renaissance at the moment. But you took something that doesn't seem to would work, and you made it work. And I think that's one of the key things. Once you start playing the game, once you read the rules, once you see the models, especially the detail, it's definitely not just a license. You're definitely saying you're setting the foundations for stuff going forward, and you definitely see that all through even the rule book there. Anyway,
thanks very much.
It's just my way of complimenting you.
No, that's great. And that's the kind of stuff that we love to pass on to the studio, because yes, he is taller. It's yes, if you don't know that he's supposed to be, it does. You do kind of go, oh, is he out of scale?
Exactly.
So we could have sidestepped that, but it would have been incorrect because he is supposed to be that little bit taller. Because the without going into the weeds, I mean, Dave knows this, but the Spartan 2s are, they're selected from childhood, and they are kind of. Modified and enhanced. Exactly. There's a lot more in their creation than in some of the later generations of Spartans. So they are kind of they are bigger and beefier, and Master Chief is kind of a relic of that era, really.
And Dan, I think when Mantic bring out a new game, I think the Mantic community is pretty loyal and pretty fanatical. So we all tend to buy new Mantic games. What I tend to think or wonder is it the same people buying Armada, Vanguard, Dead Zone? Is it the same small group of people keep buying that? So one thing for me is how can Mantic break outside of that and attract a wider audience? And a license like Halo, I imagine, is the perfect chance for Mantic to introduce brand new players, and not necessarily, people that used to play 40k who were disillusioned or something. It has such a broad appeal. Do you think it's really cut through to completely new players or board gamers?
Oh, absolutely. We can see that in terms of who is talking about it online. We can see that in terms of who's getting in touch to ask questions. We have video game journalists getting in touch with us now, wanting to talk to us about the stuff that we do and like the background to how we develop games. All of these things kind of that wouldn't happen on just a kind of a normal everyday like inline IP release, where we've got an awesome core community who are really, really invested. But as soon as we tap into a big license that goes across all these other groups, we get lots of extra eyes on Mantic and what we do. And the great thing is we see some people who go, oh, this looks really good. What else do you do? I'll go and try Kings of War. I'll go and, I want to play a bigger scale battle. I'll go and try Firefight. Or I really, really love this, but maybe I want to be a bit more hobby heavy in how I'm doing my sci-fi skirmish. Maybe I'll go and try Dead Zone.
That's pretty much how sorry to interrupt you, Dan. It's pretty much how I got in is I got the Walking Dead Kickstarter set. I didn't actually back the Kickstarter. I bought it off some bloke on eBay, and that game was so good that I then had a lot of trust in Mantic. I literally went, if I want to start playing another game, let's have a look and see what else they do. So that absolutely worked in my case.
I think even back to how I got started was I didn't get it on the Kickstarter. I picked it up afterwards, but my first Mantic game was the first edition of Dead Zone, and I remember playing that, and it was a very different experience. I'd played all kinds of stuff before, but it was just firing off different things in my brain around you trying to create situations, and they're rolling more dice, and then your odds of getting an exploding egg go up. So the better tactical situations you create, the luckier you get, and you just get this kind of feel good kind of rolling mechanism that rewards you setting things up cleverly. There's a good reward to you kind of using tactics rather than just like charging in blindly.
Dead Zone makes me feel clever, which is a tough sell, dear listener, but it absolutely makes me feel clever, and it's so immediately satisfying when you do something smart. And of course, this is the base rules for Halo, and I honestly, there was no sense in coming up with a completely new rule set when the Dead Zone rules are quite possibly the best rule set for any game I know. They're so elegant, they're so simple. Honestly, it's for something like Halo, it's perfect. There was no point creating a new rule system from the ground up for the sake of it. When you have one of the best systems I know just sitting there, why not just implement the Dead Zone rule set into the and just shape it a little bit for the Halo universe? Perfect. And sorry, Dan, go for it.
Oh, it was Dave.
Me. Sorry, I was about to.
Whoever made that little noise, that
I did. Sorry. Yeah. I was going to ask about the success of it. Obviously, you've had a lot of people get into the game, the people outside of Mantic. I guess from Mantic's point of view, has it blown away expectations, or is it kind of it's above expectations and it's allowing you to do more things with the IP? I mean, how is it kind of landing in terms of your how were your expectations really?
It's kind of both, but I will explain that. So the first side is that it is by far and away the biggest game launch we've ever done, which is fantastic. So in that side, it's exceeded our expectations. The other one, and this is kind of why we went for the early pre-order, was that we had no true sense of just how big it might get. We needed a steer to give a steer to the factory that far out of like what might just be coming, and it went absolutely not just from us, but I mean even more so from our retailers, our distributors. It just went absolutely crazy, which was fantastic. So we were able to do the biggest print run we've ever done of anything, and before the game is even out, we've already been booking in the second print run. Most games from most publishers never get to a second print run, the stuff that's on the market. So for us to be setting that up even before launch is unbelievable. So it's a fantastic kind of breakout game system for us. That's not to say it's going to overshadow or stop us doing lots of cool stuff for Kings of War and Firefight, and we've got loads of cool plans for everything else for next year. But Halo, yeah, like we said earlier, it's a great way of bringing just a whole ton of new people, not just into Mantic, but in some cases even into miniature gaming in the first place. There's a big thing with this around accessibility. You can actually, it's great if you paint it, but a lot of people can just play it out of the box.
Yeah,
that's a first for us, really.
This is one of the smartest things about it, really, is you can play this just as a board game. That the miniatures in there are, they're coloured plastic. You can legitimately just play this without even knowing you're playing a miniatures game. But then there's this huge hobby iceberg sitting under your feet that you might not even know about it. But the people that don't know about it are still going to have a brilliant time with a great game. And it's that perfect storm of a very appealing IP. I think you're a little bit unlucky the Halo TV show wasn't as successful as maybe we'd hoped it would be. It got cancelled after 2 series. I gave up on the first series at some point, and I'm a pretty big Halo fan. I wasn't enjoying it particularly. So that's a bit of unfortunate. As it was with Hellboy, actually, there was a Hellboy film out when Mantic came out with their brilliant game, and the film didn't do as well as we might have liked. It's a brilliant property, but also it's a fantastic game. So, it's, as Dave said earlier, you haven't just slapped a Halo sticker on a Dead Zone set and hope it sells. A lot of thought and care and love has gone into this, and it's a Mantic game. It's that, we can trust the quality is there. Perfect, Dan. And Dan, I will just ever so slightly, so I won't put you on the spot, but in terms of future releases, we can't really talk about it because, of course, there's licenses in place, and it's not fair to ask you directly. I could imagine it going the way of The Walking Dead, for example, with the way that you released that game, where you might have packs with specific characters or specific cards in there. I think that would be a really great way to do it. But I'm not putting you on the spot that if you don't. You don't have to answer that because it's not.
No, it's fine. We can talk about it a little bit. Yes, you will see some of that. So Master Chief is the easy, obvious example. It's kind of, he was a promo at launch for the retailers that kind of bought in and put a nice stock bundle in their stores. He's in the paint set. He will, of course, be coming as a separate release in his own box with his cards. And Dave's got one there. So So he's a good example. So will we do more stuff like that? Absolutely. Will you be able to go and buy particular fire teams? Yes, you will. But of course, you'll be able to mix and match them with the stuff that you've already got for that faction. Will they come with all the cards you need? Of course they will. And we'll also be doing, and you see some of this in the Wave 2 stuff that's kind of, we've previewed on the website already. We're also going to do stuff that will just make your whole game experience cooler as well. We've got kind of scatter terrain sets, which are faction themed, neoprene mats. So if you had the Recon edition and you've got the kind of the thinner mat is the one that comes in that because it's the cheaper box. It's the same mat that comes in your demo set, Chris. You might want to upgrade that to a nice neoprene, Dead Zone style mat. In which case you can. We're going to do those with Halo designs on. We've got organized play kits coming, so a lot of people are probably going to get this for Christmas. The keen beans like us, we've kind of bought in. We've kind of got it in November. A lot of people will probably get it for Christmas. So by the time we hit January, it's about getting stuff painted. It's about getting people playing. February, it's things that will make your game experience a bit cooler. Some extra terrain or a nicer mat. And then we go into March. Then there's new fire teams. Then there's new scatter terrain to hide you guys behind. We have something called the War Games expansion coming in March. And that one's quite a big deal. So the box, as it starts, picking a team and playing a team is really, really easy. It's kind of a drafting system. It's pretty much pick your faction and draft 4 guys onto the table. It's very straightforward, and everything is roughly balanced against each other in their armor and their loadouts and the weapons and the stuff that they start with. If you're going to get a big boost from somewhere, it's because of something you've found and competed for and picked up in the arena.
Just like in the video game.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, are we anticipating a big tournament scene for this game?
We certainly hope so. Yeah, there's been a lot of interesting competitive play. There's some events being organised already. And the first big UK one is actually going to be in January. And it's going to be the Nottingham GT, the Nottingham Grand Tournament, which is a big event for lots of game systems. But they are going to put on basically a big first Halo tournament with up to 100 people on the Saturday and up to 100 people on the Sunday as well. So that's so if you search, if you're in the UK and if you want to come and play some Halo, and you don't have to be a high level tournament player to come and do this, it's just come and play some games and have some fun. and they are. I think it's something like a £1 deposit. So it's it's very, very, very easy, very affordable, low barrier to entry. Yeah, come along. We're expecting lots of people. It should be great fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Everything about this is just incredibly smart. I really like it. It just, as you say, low barrier to entry, low cost to entry. But of course, if you want to go nuts like I always do and get all the toys, you can. But if people just want to get in and play it, it's the cost of a board game. Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, no, Dan. Sorry,
sorry, Chris. I just want to quickly come back to that War Games expansion just to finish off, because the thing that's going to do, well, like I said, the base game is drafting. That's going to introduce a point system, which allows us to put bigger, fancier, more uneven stuff into the game, because then suddenly not every model has to be equal to each other, which means we can start putting some funkier stuff into play, and then the balancing is done with the points in your fire team. It's like a slightly more advanced way of playing, but the base box doesn't have to intimidate or confuse anyone who's just getting into gaming, whatever. That's a nice, easy experience into it. But the more sophisticated stuff is coming, where you can customize your team, where you can start getting clever with loads and all this kind of thing. And it means we can put some of the stronger weapons into the game as well as you're starting loadout. So, expect to see things like grav hammers and all this kind of stuff starting to come into play.
Fantastic. That sounds really cool, Dan. Fantastic. And I had another question, and it's completely gone blank. Dave.
That's all right. While you think of that, I was going to say, I'm just looking at the War Games expansion pack. You can see that with the fire team they're introducing there is that the weapons are definitely more hefty. And also the fire team Cyberus, as you get a gravity hammer, which was me and my girlfriend are currently playing through Halo. And I was playing with the hammer all the time yesterday. It was fun. We're playing Halo 3. It was the first time going through it, so it was rather exciting for her. But yeah, we'll go into some viewer questions. So for those that don't know, we are going to start a Halo show in MUP. I'll be part of it, and until we can find someone to rein me in, we'll try and do it. So we've got a few viewer questions. The first one on our Discord that comes from a Mythic Fox, which actually we just answered there, is what can they tell us about list building / their upcoming point system? So basically, the new expansion should introduce that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there'll be that War Games one. So it comes with more miniatures and cards, but it will also come with an extra kind of rules booklet, which is will give you that extra level of customization. It'll also come with a bunch of cards, which actually will with the points information allow you to update existing miniatures that you probably already have. So if you've got the drafting cards at the moment, it's you don't need to worry about going out and rebuying anything. That will just update your existing collection up to that point as well.
Cool. Yeah, it wouldn't feel like a Mantic thing if things got invalidated. That doesn't feel Mantic.
Mm-hmm. No, well, we never like to do it, and we certainly wouldn't want to do it with something which has only just come out. That would be insanity.
Hey, I remember the thing I forgot. Sorry, Dave. I'll just shoehorn it in here. Sorry, the point I forgot. Dan, let me pitch you. So, can you talk to Ronnie after this? So, the MUP ideas for properties we'd like to see. Dune, that's my big one. I was a big fan before all these people joined because of the films. Dune was always kind of my Lord of the Rings, if you know what I mean. That was the book I was obsessed about as a kid. And Dune and Wheel of Time is Jerry's request, and that's been pretty popular. So we were thinking maybe actually instead of making tiny Kings of War, 10mm Kings of War, because what we're worried about is it splitting up the Kings of War community between the two different sizes.
Yep.
Just make a Wheel of Time game in tiny. And I know nothing about Wheel of Time except what Jerry told me. But what Jerry told me was cool.
Yes.
There are two ideas. I mean, I'm assuming that's all I need to do, and you'll just make this happen now.
No, I think Gears of War. Go with Gears of War.
Sorry, Dave. Sorry for interrupting. I'll pass you back for more questions.
That's all right. I think they should do Gears of War anyway. But so the other viewer question we got is from Kudos. Now, he actually asked 3 of them, so we'll try and go through them as quickly as we can. Will Halo come to the companion?
So that's an interesting one. So there's a challenge in putting licensed stuff into the companion. So, but on the flip side to that, we would love to do. Obviously, we want to have Halo at least as much support as what our other games are getting. So, if our other games have got some digital support, you shouldn't be too surprised if we do something for Halo. We just might need to implement it a little differently. But if there's cool things we can do to make your gaming experience better, we're either looking into it or probably already working on it.
That's fair. Will there be an expansion for the cardboard terrain? So we can see with the Wave 2, you've got the UNSC scenery set. But
Yep.
I guess are we expecting more terrain coming out that is Halo themed?
Yes, that is something we're looking at because we love how that's turned out. So we currently have stuff that we are working on for new different more terrain in the future that's like that. Yes.
Yeah, and I've got to say,
can't say what it is, but we are. Yes, we love how that's turned out, and yes, we would love to do more of it.
It's good quality. It's good quality.
Yeah.
I've
the
played with
technology
it.
for cardboard-based terrain has just gone through the roof the last couple of years because there was the cool space stuff, and that was really, really good. And of course, the Mantic Halo stuff is really nice, really, really nice. I was going to bring my hard plastic Mantic Dead Zone terrain to do my demos, but actually the cardboard terrain's so nice now. Just bring that, and obviously it's much more Halo themed. It's brilliant.
I think the really lovely thing is if you think about, and this is probably all of us when we pick up a new game, it's in your head. You almost start with a tick list of the hobby things you think you have to do before you can almost begin playing the game. It's I've got to build my guys, I've got to paint my guys, I've got to build my terrain, I've got to paint my terrain. The shorter we can make that list between you opening the box and getting started, the quicker it is you're having fun. And you can always go back and paint your red Spartans and your blue Spartans and all this kind of thing. But there's nothing to stop you actually just diving in. It's that terrain set. You can put that together in 5 minutes, which is that's a new record for us.
Yeah. And I've got loads of games over the years, to my shame, that never made it to the table for whatever reason. So the less barriers you've got between purchasing it and it arriving on your doorstep to playing it, the more chance you're massively increasing the chance that people actually get the game out and play it and build momentum. Brilliant.
Well, that's the thing. We want to be a gaming brand and hobby and not just a kind of collecting brand and hobby. Anything we can do that means it goes on your table and not on a pile of shame, we're doing something right.
Yeah. And the last question, are we going to see HIPS models in the long run? So the hard plastic.
So with Flashpoint, we're focusing on keeping it accessible, keeping it play out the box. If there's the chance to do more other different Halo stuff in the future, then that would be very, very cool, but nothing confirmed at this point.
I guess the ones in the box are PVC, but I've got to say they're very nice PVC. The models in there are really nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
And I think I think PVC gets a bit of a tough rap because there's so many different types and grades and different mixes and different versions of it, and it can either be done. And even us over the years, we've had some times when we've done it very, very well. We've had other times when we were learning the ropes with it. So but the stuff we can do with that material now is I think really quite good.
But I'd even say, a lot of even the older Mantic models, like, for example, I've got tons and tons of Brockers, right? And they're all PVC.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't multi-pose them and all that, but there was probably about 6 different poses altogether, or 6 different sculpts, which is, to me, enough. I love those. I absolutely love those models. I adore them, and I think the quality's fine, absolutely fine.
Absolutely. Even that first edition Dead Zone set that I had, yes, you had to super glue the plastics together, but actually once you'd washed them and dry brushed, there was loads and loads of detail on there. It's one of those things of learning the material, but which factories and suppliers and things that we use. But the way stuff's turning out now, you look at the Hellboy miniatures, you look at the Walking Dead miniatures, you look at what's been in Dungeon Saga Origins recently, you look at what we're just doing with Flashpoint. All of that is kind of really crisp, sharp, super characterful, nice, easy models you can just put on the table and get gaming with.
It flew under the radar a little bit, but I genuinely think Hellboy is one of the best games Mantic made. It's brilliant. I love the property as well, but that game is just so clever. It's so well thought out. And every round you're up against it time-wise, and when things are going badly, you're being robbed of activations almost. You can do less things, and it's every turn is a constant puzzle of trying to get the best possible outcome with not enough resources. You can never ever do everything you want to. It's a fantastic game. So fantastic. So that's talked about Halo. I was going to ask you, Dan, about the command dice, the furore of the command dice.
Yeah, you can if you like. That's fine.
Yes. So from my point of view, most people, I would say, about command dice are pretty positive. Most of the feedback I've had is actually they're not that impactful. which is probably how I would like them to be. I'd rather they were on the gentler side rather than winning games. If people were able to win games with command dice, it might be altering Kings of War, but it just feels like a little extra gentle bit on top of Kings of War. Is that kind of the feedback you're getting?
I think so. I think the thing to remember with Clash of Kings, and this is kind of every Clash of Kings is really about putting just more things in your toolbox and more options and more kind of choices. So in the same way that, in fact, we almost had a Clash of Kings integrated into the compendium in 2022 because siege rules came along and kind of like legendary monsters and ambush and these aren't things that you have to play in every game, but they're just more options to play with, and that's kind of what command dice is. It's another tool in your toolbox. It's another thematic thing that you can add in and have some fun with. It's optional. But the idea is theme, a little bit of extra spice and unpredictability, and then kind of tailored to each list. And also, as Matt's been very open with, actually, we want people's feedback on this. It has been tested quite a lot by the playtest group in the first place. And by the point we were getting positive feedback on that, it was okay. Well, let's make this available for other people to play with and to try. And we know absolutely tons of people have got those Vanguard dice already. Thousands of people have got those Vanguard dice. So it's something that's sitting, often unused in a tub somewhere. And it's, pull them out, have a go, add this into your game, see if you like it. Tell us. But give it a fair chance first.
This is Ronnie Renton, and you are listening to the Mantic Universe podcast.
And I'm Mark Zielinski.
And I'm Wiki Dave.
We do want to hear people's feedback, positive and negative. Some people, we want to hear the stuff people like. We want to hear the stuff people think could be better. Because we will keep continuing to evolve the game in future, and we of course want to make sure we do it in the right direction.
Yeah, fantastic. This is a bit of a side point, but when the Big Red Book came out and the Siege rules came out, it was for my birthday weekend. Clem and a few other guys came over, and we had a Siege game, and it was the Northern Alliance were doing a ritual to close some rifts, so they were in their castle, and then there were 3 evil armies coming to get them to stop the ritual, and then we had the Salamanders riding into their rescue to try and save them. And the attackers destroyed the castle wall to stop the ritual, and some snow trolls just blocked the way, and they survived long enough that the ritual was successful. And it was so unbelievably thematic. We had such a brilliant time with these siege rules. It was so cool. I'll always remember that game. It was just fantastic. And the dice told the story of what happened. It was great. Fantastic. Dave, anything else? I know we're pushed for time. Dave, anything else to ask?
I've got a lot of things I want to ask, so I just don't want to ask because
we'll have conversation
going forever.
Another time.
NHD will kick in, and I'll be just picking his brain over everything of why did he pick Spartan 4s instead of Spartan 3s or Spartan 2s. I will go into all of that stuff if I'm not careful here. So I guess just really, Dan, is there anything that you can tease or anything you can say of going forward? I mean, you have more of the inside knowledge of it than we do.
Yeah. So we'll have to. We're almost into December now, and we always do some teasers in December coming in the following year. So I won't steal too much of the thunder of that. But what I will say on Halo, our big thing at the moment is we want to get people playing and trying Flashpoint, very, very definitely. And beyond that, it's we have big plans for it next year. When the Banished arrive, that is going to be a big, major release. Expect to see lots of cool stuff coming at that point. And if you like your Halo, and if you know that faction, you've probably got ideas of what that might look like. And you're probably half right. So it's if you can think of big, cool things, they're probably on the way. But right now, the focus for us is we want to get people trying and playing and get that community started.
Well, one of the awesome things about this game is that the time period you can shift it. So I would love to see the Grunt Rebellion, which is something that happened during the Covenant timeline of going back there. You could have grunts on one side and then versus the rest of the Covenant races, and we can actually go back in time and actually see other arbiters and their battles and stuff. There is so much in Halo that you could explore, not just this time period. So what I'm more excited about is, yes, you're establishing the game right now. What can you actually show that we haven't been able to see in game yet? Like there's a lot of events in the Covenant timeline that we just we haven't explored, but we know they have happened. And so like there's so many great things that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for how you can just run with it.
To save Dan an awkward silence, I'm going to say, yes, that sounds cool, and maybe we'll see that one day. Who knows? No one could possibly know.
Yeah, I know.
Some things are unknowable. Yes.
I think what you can probably expect is that we will keep giving you factions, we will keep giving you cool things, we will keep giving you the tools to go and recreate the battles you want to fight. But I can't say which of those they might be and exactly what. But yeah, we will keep putting cool stuff in the sand.
I'd say the potential is there, and you can see it.
The potential's incredible. All I will say is, Dave and dear listener, let's keep buying stuff, and then Mantic will keep selling us the stuff we like. That's how this works.
It costs a lot to ship to New Zealand, mate. Like, there's only so much I could buy. I looked at the new bundle, right? I mean, it's only £75. It's $161 in New Zealand, and that's not including shipping.
Yeah,
it's a bit off the wallet, but yeah, I probably will end up buying it. It's just it's definitely exciting to see it come through and just
the age-old problem for New Zealand and Australia, unfortunately, isn't it? Perfect.
It's way too much,
guys. I think we can end it there. We're very excited. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Yeah, it's a pleasure. You and Andy are always just brilliant to deal with. You guys are great. I love you guys, and I really, really appreciate your time and all the work you do. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thanks for you guys and also the stuff you guys do for the community. I mean, we've not even mentioned it, but yeah, Dave on the wiki side, chronicling everything together and I'm not going to spoil anything, but Dave has, in doing so, he's stumbled on a couple of very interesting things that you might find out more about in the future.
Wait, you haven't told me about this. What? This is new. This is. I'm just discovering this right now. What? Okay, no.
If you go into Dave's bedroom, it's just old newspaper articles with red string connecting everything.
No, that's this room. If I bring that out there, my partner would kill me. She would not have it. Like, she's from Burnley, UK. She
really? Oh, okay. She's northern. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
She's northern. I'm not going to mess with anything like that. So, but yeah, it's cool because I love lore, as you can see. You know, I really love diving into it. And I think that's what makes a game for me. Halo, what you guys have done, it wouldn't be the same if the lore wasn't there to attach to it. And the same with Kings of War and everything else. So, I'm pretty.
It's got both. It's great rule system, fair game, fair price, great lore. Yeah, perfect.
Thanks
I think we'll
very
call
much.
it there. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, dear listener.
Cool. Thank you.